good friend, former Kansas Secretary of State Kris Kobach, one of the toughest guys I know when it comes to securing the border. Kris, it's been a while, and I hope you're doing good.
Doing great. Great to be back with you, Todd.
All right. Here's the headline from the Associated Press. Kansas's Kris Kobach considered for immigration czar. Kris, if the president gives you a call, will you serve in the Trump administration?
Well, it's obviously the president's decision to make, but I would be honored to serve him in that capacity or in whatever capacity if he decides it's best for the country and for the Trump administration.
You know, you have a lot of great ideas out there, and I want to work through some of these in the next little while on what we need to be doing to secure the border. But first, I want you to weigh in on the massive numbers of people. We're talking upwards of 100,000 last month crossing into this country. Those are the ones we know about. Kris, is it fair to call what's happening an invasion?
Yeah, I think it is. At this point, you know, at what is the numerical threshold? Where is the numerical threshold? You stop calling it just normal immigration and start calling it invasion. Yeah, 100,000, over 100,000 in March. We're set to exceed 1 million this calendar year. This is 3 times what it was in the first few months of the Trump administration. Mexico is warning of what they call the mother of all caravans, over 20,000 people that is gathering in Honduras. We haven't seen traffic like this across the border in 12 years. So it's certainly an invasion of sorts. You know, maybe not a military invasion, but it's certainly an invasion of people. And the invasion is coming so fast that our Border Patrol resources are stretched incredibly thin, and it's complicated by the fact that instead of coming in small groups in the middle of the night, like, you know, illegal immigration occurred 20 years ago, or even 5 years ago, now they're marching up in broad daylight in large groups and presenting themselves to Border Patrol officers and saying, please drive me to the nearest station. I would like to claim asylum. And of course, these are false claims of asylum. They don't qualify for asylum. And I had one Border Patrol agent tell me a couple weeks ago that they feel like they're Uber drivers for the illegal aliens. So you've got that happening, and then you've got normal illegal immigration where people are sneaking in, and they're trying to stop that, and they just stretched as far as they can be stretched.
Kris, what should the administration have been doing over the past 2 years? Is there anything they could have done to slow down the invasion?
There are several things they could have done. I have a piece in Breitbart that lists the top 3 steps, which are basically this. First, to publish the final regulation that deals with the Flores settlement. That Flores settlement's been around many years, and that's this agreement whereby the United States doesn't hold minors for that long in custody, even if they are with their parents. And there's a regulation that would solve that and would allow us to keep the whole family together for extended periods of time without forcing the United States government to release people into the streets of the country to be seen again. That's one thing. We could have published that final regulation back in December. I have no idea why DHS has been dragging its feet. That could be done. Another thing is that we should be, instead of turning everyone loose, we should be expanding our detention space, not just complaining that we're out of detention space. By that, I mean, we've got thousands, literally thousands of mobile homes and trailers that FEMA has for natural disasters, and they have so many of them, they're trying to sell them right now. If you go on the internet, you will see thousands of them for sale, these, bargain basement prices. We should use those to create, temporary processing centers where the people who come across these caravans will put them up in these trailers and feed them 3 square meals, but, not turn them loose into the country. Let's, send some immigration judges down there, have the hearings right there, and then put them on a passenger jet home immediately thereafter, so that word gets back that, hey, here's this group of people that just left our town in Honduras 2 weeks ago, and they're already back, and it was unsuccessful. We've got to get the word out in Central America that, hey, the United States is sending you right back. And then the third thing I would do is put some pressure on Mexico to sign a safe third country agreement, which is what we have with Canada. And that means that when someone sets foot in one of your countries, this ridiculous situation where people are walking thousands of miles across Mexico where they could have claimed asylum there and then making a fraudulent claim of asylum in the United States. Let's have an agreement where they hit the first safe country and then they have to claim asylum there.
Chris, it's, last week and the week before, we heard a lot of talk from the administration about shutting down the border so they could just get a handle on these massive amounts of people coming across. The White House isn't talking about that now. What do you see? What's your thought on temporarily shutting down the border to get a handle on all of this?
I think it's something we can do as a way of, the main reason to do that was, of course, to put pressure on Mexico to cooperate more fully in stopping and trying to, impede the flow of illegal immigration coming to the north. I think a better way to put pressure on Mexico is what I've described. It basically propose a regulation under the Treasury Department that says if you're not in the United States legally, you can't send a wire transfer home to send your money out. That would put an immediate squeeze on Mexico. They get over $20 billion a year from remittances from aliens in the United States. Many of them are illegal. And say, look, we're going to finalize this regulation unless you give us a safe third country agreement. I think that would be a more effective source of leverage to get Mexico to cooperate with us.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you coming on the program. Look, I think we all agree that we need somebody who can crack down immediately, hit the ground running, and get a handle on this situation. Do you think that's going to be possible?
Yeah, it is certainly possible. We just need a very quick change of direction in the agency, and yeah, I think we can solve this crisis, but it's going to take leadership and it's going to take political willpower. All
right, Chris, as always, we appreciate you.
Always a pleasure.
Kris Kobach, ladies and gentlemen, former Kansas Secretary of State, and quite frankly, I think he's the guy that President Trump needs to be calling up to head up Homeland Security. He's got the credentials, he's got the backbone, and he is determined to secure the border.